pickle chips for dinner. We're just kind of doing a quick, easy dinner. We had a pretty big dinner or lunch today. We had steak, shrimp, and chicken kebabs. So we're doing light and easy. We're all still kind of full. I guess I wouldn't say it necessarily is light, but we're doing something simple. So let's start by making our home fries. So I'm going to kind of cut them into nice little thin slices here, and then we'll make them in the traditional fry shape. And we're gonna also make a little homemade ranch dressing to go with our pickle chips and our french fries, because I absolutely love my french fries dipped in ranch dressing. I mean, I just love ranch dressing. We're gonna get our little fries cut up here. So I've got my first potato done. I'm gonna put them in my big bowl. And then we're gonna get our next ones done. Again, I'm gonna go through and I'm gonna make my little thin slices for it. And we'll cut the edge off of that. Got a little bruising on my potato here. Okay, so let me find these three. I'm just gonna cut the ends off of it.
You got a question? Did everybody like lunch?
Oh, they loved it. It was delicious. My stepdad was so happy. He loves steak and shrimp, and so he was in heaven. And Teddy ate 3 corn on the cobs, because corn on the cob is his absolute favorite food. That's what he pretty much ate for lunch, was 3 corn on the cobs, and then he had a little bit of chicken, and then some of the sourdough toasted up, but it was corn on the cob. So yes, everyone was really happy except my oldest daughter, because she was at a friend's house and she found out we had steak and she was traumatized. She was like, "Why didn't you bring me home a steak?" And I was like, "Oh, I thought about it, but I chose to leave it for my stepdad." Okay, let's get this last one up. Then we're gonna dress it with some olive oil, spices, and a little bit of flour to kind of give you that like steakhouse kind of crust on it.
Do you have a question? What kind of knives do you use?
These are Wusthof. This is the Wusthof Classic, their big chef knife. I absolutely love it. I've had this one, I got it as a wedding present. So I've had it for over 15 years and it still does great. I guess 16, 17 years now. So it works well. It's you just sharpen it up every once in a while once it gets a little dull. But it definitely lasts well, and I am not the most gentle with my knives, I should say, or follow all the rules. I sometimes put mine in the dishwasher, so it's held up really great. And I really recommend the Classic over the Gourmet. They have the Gourmet set, which it's not as hefty, and I like the heft behind the Classic of the Wusthof, but it is a nice one. I actually have them in my Amazon storefront there, because I really do like them. They're my favorite knives. Okay, we've got all of our potatoes here in about our French fry format. We are going to drizzle them with some olive oil. So a good little drizzle, about 2 tablespoons, maybe a little less. And then we're gonna put my garlic salt, which I have right over here. And let me grab my flour. We're gonna sprinkle them with garlic salt today. There we go. You probably want a good like teaspoon to a teaspoon and a half, because you want it all to have that nice flavor on it. When you salt fries after the fact, it's not quite as good. And then we're gonna put about 2 tablespoons of flour on here. And now we're gonna go through and we're gonna kind of mix them up and really coat them with the olive oil, the salt, and the flour. And these will be a nice kind of garlic steak fry. And I'm just coating them until every bit has that seasoning. They're gonna have this nice little paste on them, which will crisp up in the oven nicely. Okay. So now let me grab my big baking dish, or baking sheet here. And the trick with doing them in the oven is you just wanna make sure that each fry gets its own space. Try to limit as much overlap as possible. I always like to use the really big sheets, baking sheets for this, so that I can get a nice crispiness. You also don't want to really double up the baking sheets because the second one that goes underneath the top one never gets as crispy as the top baking
You have a
sheet.
question. What does the flour do for the potatoes?
It gives it a nice little crisp crust. You know how when you go to like restaurants and they have those steak fries, which have that almost like a little breading on it? That's what this does. It gives it a really kind of crisp texture. The oil like stick to it and gives you a bit more crunch than if you were just to use oil. You can also use almond flour with this or Parma, like that finely grated Parmesan cheese. It also works well to do that kind of crisp on it. But it just makes them a bit more crunchy and crisp up, which sometimes oven fries don't get that way. They can be a little bit more soft. So this gives you more of that crunch on it. Okay. Again, I'm going to try to spread these out as much as possible and have as little overlap. I'm going to give my hands a quick rinse. And then we are going to pop these in the oven. I have mine set on the air fryer setting at 425. If you don't have an air fryer setting, convection bake at 425, or you could do a traditional bake at 450 for this. We're gonna pop them in here, and these will go for about, I wanna say 20 minutes, and they'll crisp up nicely. So I'm gonna set my timer here. Hopefully dinner and everything will be ready right at that time as well.
You have a question. Can you fry those as well?
You can definitely fry them. That is an option if you have, especially if you have a big fry basket, they'll fry up delicious. I mean, fried French fries are the absolute best, but these are a pretty good one for people who don't have fryers or don't want to waste as much oil for that. Okay, let's get our, let's see, I'm trying to decide what I want to do next. Let's season up our burgers, and then we're going to do our pickle chips. So I'm gonna just slide this around. We're gonna get this up here. So I've got my ground beef here. I'm gonna put the flour over here because this will be for our pickle chips. Pickle chips won't need long to fry up. We got about, I wanna say 2.5 pounds, maybe 3 pounds of ground beef here. We're gonna add in some Dale's seasoning sauce. This is gonna give it a nice flavor. It's kind of like a Worcestershire sauce without the vinegar in it. We're gonna put about a tablespoon in here. And then we're gonna add in a little bit of liquid smoke, kind of give you a grill flavor on it without grilling it. I'm gonna use my cap on here because a little bit of liquid smoke goes a long way in seasoning up. There we go. And then we'll go in here with some garlic salt. You want about a teaspoon, teaspoon and a half. And now I'm just gonna go in with my hands and we're gonna just really mix these seasonings into our burger, into our ground beef here. And with burgers, you wanna go higher fat content versus lean fat content. So I think this is Costco's like 80-20. But for burgers, the higher the fat, the better the burger's gonna be. First, you know, some things it doesn't matter as much, but with burgers, lean meats just don't make a great burger. They make a real tough one. So we're just gonna smash all of those lovely flavors into our burger because this is gonna be really the only time you can season up your burger.
You have a question. How much Dale's was it?
It was about a tablespoon of Dale's. And Dale's has, that's why we didn't need that much salt in it because Dale's has, it's like kind of a soy sauce base. And so it has a little bit of a salt into it as well, but it's delicious. Burgers, chicken, shrimp, it's yummy. Okay, now let's get our smash burgers prepping. Put a sheet of parchment paper down. It will just make it easier for us to smash them. And I'm just gonna make a bunch of little balls here. We're gonna probably do a couple layers. I got my bacon press out. I have this like old bacon press that my mom gave me that has a little pig on it, but it actually works really well for smash burgers, for smashing it down. I guess the idea is that you would smash your bacon down so that it'd be nice and flat but it works well for smashing burgers. So we're gonna get our little balls here.
You have a question? Have you ever had a Wagyu burger?
I have. It's delicious, but I have a hard time like wasting Wagyu meat on a burger. I'd much rather have a Wagyu steak. But it is. I've had it before, and they are good. Wagyu is delicious, but pricey. Rinse my hands real quick. Okay, we're gonna add another sheet on top. Here's my crazy old bacon press. It's like an antique one. I feel like it has a little pig. And I'm just gonna smash these down nice and flat. And just be able to peek up and see that they're gonna get nice and flat. Smashes them better than your own hand does, I will say that. It's kind of like the tortilla press for burgers. But that's what makes a smash burger so nice.
You got a question? Can you go over what that paper is?
This is parchment paper. So it's really great for using on things because it kind of slides stuff off. And it just prevents my bacon press from getting all of like these meats and stuff in it. Let me smush this down. But it will also make it easier when I want to spatula the burgers off into my skillet. It will be easier for me to grab them off. So I've got my first set. Get these going. We'll get our next one out, and we'll just hopefully make 6 more balls. And the beauty of a smash burger is you're not trying for a perfectly round patty. So really, I'm just taking my hand, making like a tennis ball size piece of meat, and then we'll smash it down. Ground beef does reduce a lot, especially when you have a high fat content, so everything will shrink up a little bit when you're doing it because that fat will cook out. There we go. Get another one and one last one. And then I've got another sheet of parchment paper on, and we'll press it down.
You have a question? Are your parents going to be joining you tonight?
Not tonight. They were at home. It's 1 second, let me wash my hands. I feel bad, but Mom, apparently they scheduled her for a work meeting tonight. So I'm like, who does that on Father's Day? But she unfortunately has a work dinner to go to tonight. So my stepdad is probably gonna be eating that extra steak that I made for his dinner.
And you have a question of what's in the meat? What seasonings?
So in the seasonings, we use Dale's seasoning sauce, liquid smoke, and garlic salt. So really, we kept it basic. Sometimes I feel with burgers, the simpler the better. I think ground beef or beef in general is one of those meats that you don't really need to jazz up as much. There we go. Smash it down. I'll probably do one more big smash on it. I didn't push it quite hard enough. But it does just work out really well for smashing it. We've got our smash burgers over there nice and thin. You don't want them super thick. You want them to be thinner because if they're thick, they'll just get seize up. Versus the thinner will get you more of that crispy crust on them, which is, you know, kind of known for in our smash burger world. There we go. We've got a big smash burgers. Okay, let's get over here. We'll cook these up in a second, but let's get on with our pickle chips. Start by making kind of a seasoned dredge. I had my pickles right here. This is just a whole jar of pickles, like an 8-ounce jar. You drain them, you put them on paper towels, and like suck and put another paper towel on top and suck out any extra moisture. So we're gonna season up our flour. We're just gonna use, I had a little bit of paprika left. Typically I'd use more. I need to grab a little bit more. So typically I would use about a teaspoon of paprika. And then we're gonna use some garlic salt. And you're gonna want about 1.5 teaspoons to 2 teaspoons. And then we're gonna get a little bit of pepper in here. Give them a little zip too. About 1/2 teaspoon. Let me grab a fork here. We're gonna stir this up with a fork, then I'm gonna mix up my eggs. And you're gonna kind of do this almost the same way that you do fried chicken, in the sense that we're going to dredge them and then bread them for our, before we fry them. And this will just allow the breading to kind of stick on them. Okay, we've got that mixed around. Let me crack my eggs in. I should only need about 2 eggs in here because they're not gonna take as much as a real chicken does. Let's pop our yolks and mix them up. Okay. Perfect. So first I'm gonna coat all of my pickles in our little flour here, kind of the first coating into the flour. Let's see if I wanna actually, I'm gonna pick them up and see if I can slide them in here so I can just put them on my baking sheet, because this is full of pickle juice and they'll just won't get as crispy if they sit on the pickle juice. There we go. So we're gonna go through the flour here and dredge them up this way. Then we're gonna add our panko breadcrumbs. I actually am just using crushed crackers because I was out of the panko, but crushed crackers work really well too because they'll give you that extra crunch. They give you the texture you want for a crunchier pickle chip. Now, but you must, with these, you really got to make sure you've strained out the liquid in it. Otherwise, when you fry, you risk them popping like the hot oil up when that pickle juice touches. So make sure you really do let them sit for at least 30 minutes on a paper towel to kind of soak out any extra pickle juice. Here we go. Let me see if we can pull the rest of these in there.
You got a question? What kind of pickles?
These are just the good old zesty Vlasic ovals. I am a salty pickle girl. I don't like sweet pickles. So that's what I have in here. But really any pickle chip could work well for this. Okay, we got them out. Let's add in our panko breadcrumbs. For this one, these are just some smashed Ritz. There we go. And then we're gonna go through into the egg and then into our breadcrumb, and then we'll transfer back right here. And then we'll start heating up our oil to fry them up. And do this one more dip, okay. So into it, just like that. And then you're just gonna kind of push all that breading on it. And it's gonna make it a lot thicker, but that's what's gonna crunch up. And the reason we did that flour dredge in the beginning is so that this one will all cling to it. Otherwise, the pickles won't, the egg won't cling to the pickle. It will slide right off. There we go. Pat it down. And there, I always say, just try to do all of your dipping with one hand, because if you try to do it with 2, you're gonna have 2 very dirty hands by the time you're done. Because anytime you bread anything, it gets pretty messy. And I find hand dredging it like this is much better than putting it in a bag and shaking it. I feel like the breading really sticks on well like this versus if you try to do it in a bag and shake. There we go. And these will give you that nice crunch on the pickle. And I will say, 1 jar, it may not seem like a lot of pickles at first, but I feel like when you bread stuff, it grows in size. There we go. Get this coated up for it. I'm gonna actually start heating up some oil in here so that our first sets we can also kind of go through and fry them up while we're dredging. So when I do it, I don't try to waste a whole bunch of oil. I just like to put a layer that gets the pickles or whatever you're frying about halfway covered, because we'll flip them halfway through. That way you don't need a huge amount and it's a lot less wasteful. because I don't save my oil after each use. I use just fresh oil every time. So when I do fry something, I try to minimize the amount that it is. So I'm gonna turn.
Is that olive oil?
Yes, it's olive oil. I'm not gonna heat it up super high. So it will get to about 350 because I think that's a perfect frying temperature to get a nice golden brown while cooking. You know, you don't have to cook the pickle all the way through because it's all cooked. But I feel like it gets the perfect golden brown crunch on it. Olive oil typically go up to 450, even 500 without smoking. And so I use olive oil for pretty much everything because I love the taste of it. And so it's just easier to keep one oil on here, especially when you're feeding so many mouths. I don't want to have 20 different oils in my pantries. Okay, let's get these all dredged up. And then we will start frying them up. And then we'll work on making our homemade ranch dressing with some fresh herbs from our garden. And frying up our smash burgers. So simple but delicious dinner tonight. We had quite the feast earlier today, so I wanted an easier meal to make tonight. There we go, but yummy. And I said, who doesn't like a good smash burger? And I thought about, you know, grilling out here, but we've had, like, right after we got done with our lunchtime stream, that started like thundering and waking up. I was like, oh, I guess it's perfect timing. Here we go.
You have a question. What are the smash burgers going to be topped with?
We're just gonna have cheese and then fried pickle chips, of course, to go on there. And then they'll just be on a brioche bun. So they're just gonna be really, really simple. I thought about doing crispy onion straws, but I opted for pickle chips. That's gonna give you a crunch on it, but it's also gonna give you that kind of zest to it, which will be delicious. Get these. I will say breading chicken though is a little bit easier because there's a whole bunch of them. It's not as fast going. But we're down to the last 10. Let's see if we can get 3 in here. It looks like my 2 eggs are gonna be the perfect amount. And we'll transfer over, cover them up. But these are, I said, like, my kids love pickles. And so pickle chips are, not every place has them, but whenever we see them on an appetizer at or like a restaurant, we get them because they're so good.
There's a question. Do you prefer raw or cooked onions?
I prefer cooked onions. I just like them much better cooked. Now, I don't mind a red onion. Red onion's like the best ones for eating raw. And I like those in a salad and sometimes on a burger.
No, on your burger.
I said yes, sometimes, but I prefer either crispy onion straws on my burger or like a sauteed onion. But tonight we're just doing the plain Jane smash burgers just with cheese. And then we'll do a fried pickle chip. We're gonna keep it plain. And then I'm gonna make some homemade ranch. You know, it's funny, nobody really talks about it, or I hear people talk about it, but when I was a kid, and I don't know if anybody else did this, I put Thousand Island dressing on my burgers, and it's so good. But I haven't done that in like 25 years. But growing up, we always had a bottle of Thousand Island dressing in our fridge, and my mom would get it out when we made burgers, and we always topped it on it. And it's so good because it's like a creamy kind of ketchup-based thing. So look at our beautiful crispy onions.
Question, can you go over what you did to the pickles?
Yes. So first, let me wash my hands real quick. Get all this pickle spreading off of it. But first, you take your jar of pickles and you kind of smush them out and you let them like de-juice for 30 minutes. Then we dredge them in a seasoned flour of garlic, salt, and paprika, and a cup of flour. Then we added in our panko breadcrumbs, about a cup or so of it. I use crushed crackers today, but panko would be even better. And then we dipped them in our egg. After we dredged all of them in flour, we dipped them in our egg and then into our breadcrumb mixture. And now we're gonna fry them up when our oil is nice and hot. I'm gonna get my skillet right here for our burger warming up. And then I'm gonna grab a little bit of butter because I do like my burgers cooked in a little bit of butter. Not much, you don't need much because these are high high fat content burgers, which will make a juicier one. But we'll put in about a teaspoon if it wants to come off my butter paddle. Okay, let's check my water, my oil here. I'm gonna do my little drop test and see if it's nice and hot. There we go, we've got a nice little bubble on it, so that means we know it's nice and hot for dipping in our things. So I'm gonna start adding in our pickle chips. And you don't wanna overcrowd it, so I'm just gonna put as much that covers the bottom, but I don't want any sitting on top of each other. And we're gonna let them crisp up, get nice and golden, and we'll flip them over. And then I'm gonna put them on a plate with a paper towel on it to soak up any of the extra oil to keep them nice and crispy. So I'll know they're ready to flip over when they start getting a nice golden brown edge on them. So we've got our first batch crisping up in here. I'm gonna grab a plate and put a paper towel down that way. We'll be ready to move out that bunch. Anytime I fry food, I always rest them on a paper towel afterwards. It keeps them nice and crispy on there because it soaks up that extra grease that crisps them up versus if you lay them just flat on something. And I think it's easier to do than getting out a cookie rack, you know, the cooling racks. I think this works much better. Okay. Looks like, I'll get that little bit of butter that fell out. Go here, let's go check on our home fries, see how they're looking. They might need a little bit longer, but I always like to check at 20 minutes because sometimes they cook up pretty fast. They are perfect. So what I'm going to do is I am just going to clear off my oven and we're gonna leave them in here so that they can get nice and they'll stay nice and warm in there. So my oven's turned off and they'll cook a teensy bit more, but I don't want them out yet because we've got to cook up our burgers first. So that will keep them nice and cool, or warm, but keep them from getting cold. Let's get our smashed burgers cooking here. So we're gonna get my spatula out. And we can do about 3 at a time since we've got quite large patties here. And then I'm also gonna just give them an extra smash once we go on here. There we go. We'll let those cook up. Got mine on there, nice and high. Now let's get our ranch prepping for both our pickle chips and our French fries. Okay. So I've got a bunch of herbs here for our homemade ranch. I've got some thyme, oregano, basil, and parsley. So I'm just going to take off any of the stalks. That way we don't have little crunchy bits in our ranch, but more of just the minced up herbs. Now it's fine if it's like a tender, small stalk, but the bigger ones you definitely want to take off. Let's see. Okay, that should be about good. Now we're going to go through and we're going to mince these up into a pretty fine mince. That way you don't have any big leaves in your fresh ranch.
You have a question, is there any dill in it?
I did not use dill in it. Sometimes I put dill in it. For some reason when I went to the thing, I never planted any dill. You can put dill and it makes a little bit more of a kind of pickly type ranch. These are just, it's going to be a little without dill. But that is always a great addition to it. I find my kids, I love dill, and like when I make tartar sauce, I definitely put the dill in. But my kids kind of aren't as big of fans on dill, but they love dill pickles. Isn't that weird? It's a little interesting there. Plus, we're gonna be dipping our fried pickle chips in there, so you're gonna get enough of that little dilly in it. So we're gonna go over really nice and small. Get it in there. And so I'm just gonna kind of put it all in a little rectangle here, and then we go over it one more time. And then we'll switch the directions. And that way we get a nice mince on it. Our pickle chips are ready to flip over here. I can see the golden edges popping through. Look at these nice, crispy pickle chips. Beautiful. They're gonna have that nice little crunch. We put a little bit of that paprika in our flour, which is giving it that nice golden, like a reddish gold color to it. Paprika is really great for giving you a really pretty color on it. Okay, let those fry up for just a second. And then, there we go. You want to smash all of that juice out so that the burgers, the smash burgers, they kind of crisp up in their own fat. Okay. These are looking good. I'm going to grab my french fries out and I'm going to flip them over and let the other side crisp up on them so that they get nice and crunchy. So I'll put them right here and I'm going to really quickly flip them over and pop them back in there because the top side gets a lot crispier than the bottom side. So we're gonna just crisp them, flip them up, give them a toss so that they all can kind of heat up, crisp up nicely. But look how beautiful these french fries are looking. They are just about ready. Let's pop them over. And then I'm gonna spread them out again. And then I'm just gonna keep them in there and that residual heat will kind of crisp up that other side. Okay, let's grab our crispy pickles out. Look at these crunchy, crispy pickles. They are delicious. They're gonna have so much little bit crunch in it, which will go great in our homemade ranch. And they'll give you an extra little zing on our burger. There we go. Let's get our next set in. But with that crunch of the panko breadcrumbs will give you a nice little crunch on it, which you don't always get if you use just flour. It gives you just a bit more. Okay. And these next sets should fry up probably a little bit faster. Now that the oil is a lot hotter, I'm going to turn it down a smidge. And then for my burgers, we're going to put a little bit of cheese on them. And we're going to kind of let it start steaming up just a smidge. There we go. Just good old cheddar cheese in this household. We're not big fans of American cheese. I don't even think my kids have ever had American cheese. Oh, I guess when they've gone to school, grilled cheeses, or they get a burger at like Sonic or something like that. I never had American cheese growing up because my mom's from Sweden, and so she was never a huge fan of American cheese, so she just never bought it. There we go. We've got our first set. That residual heat will continue to melt that cheese down. And then we're going to put our next set in, start frying up. And there we go. I'm going to give it a good extra smash down with my spatula. That pushes out some of that fat, which helps you crisp it up. Oh, keeps it nice and thin. The burgers do seize up a little bit, but not too terrible. Let me check my pickle chips here. Oh, beautiful. Get these flipping over. See how much faster the second set cooks because that oil is now really nice and hot. They are getting beautiful. They're so easy to make too. I'm going to turn it down to just a smidge. I find with your oil, constantly keep turning it down because the longer it's in there, the more hot it's going to get. Okay, we've got our herbs. I'm gonna add them to my little jar, my little pitcher right here. And then we're gonna mince up a little bit of red onion to go in our homemade ranch. Green onions or chives also work well, but I just had some red onion. I'm gonna do a couple really thin slices because I don't want the onion to be so big that you're like, oh, screams an onion. And we don't need much. We're going out for maybe a tablespoon of minced up onion. And then again, I'm gonna go back over it. We're gonna really kind of mince it up nice and small because we don't want it to be very big. Think about getting it to about the size of like garlic in a jar. There we go. I don't even know if we'll use all of these. Okay. We're gonna start with half. And that's about a tablespoon. We'll save that other half in case I wanna add a little bit more. Now, we're gonna use some mayo, cream, and then white vinegar for this. So we're gonna use going for about a half a cup of mayo. And then we're gonna do about a third cup of cream. And then I do just a capful of white vinegar. You want white vinegar over like apple cider or balsamic. You could do a white wine, but you don't want it to be too sweet. We'll start mixing that up, and then we'll add some garlic salt to it and some pepper in just a second. We're gonna grab out our pickle tips because they are just about ready. You can hear the nice sizzle of our burgers. Okay, beautiful. Nice golden crisp to it. And we'll put our last ones in. Very nice. And I will say, when you make pickle tips, don't eat them right away. They do need a minute to cool because that pickle juice inside gets pretty hot. So don't just take them out and try to eat them right away, or you'll burn yourself. Let's throw these on. And then we're gonna finish up our ranch dressing. And then we can probably start serving up one of our burgers and plate it up. There we go. Get these guys in here. And you could also drop these in a fryer basket if you wanted to. You don't have to just do it in a frying pan. Okay. I'm gonna flip our burgers over. Give them a good squeeze down. We got a nice crispy sear edge on them, which is always so nice about the smash burgers. There we go. We're gonna let those fry up. Put our cheese on it. Get that melting going. And there we go. Okay, let's add a little bit of garlic salt to it. Oh, looky there. Did you find yourself a tasty pickle treat down there? We're gonna add a pinch of black pepper. Probably not even a fourth of a teaspoon, but it gives you a little zing, which I find is lovely. And then you don't need a lot of garlic salt, but I would say about a half a teaspoon, because mayo's pretty salty, but you want that garlicky flavor to it.
You have a question? Is your stove top an induction?
It is not an induction. It's just a good old electric stove. So you just make sure when I heat things up, I make sure I heat them up until they're just about ready and hot. I do my little drop test before I throw things in because you never want to fry stuff or cook stuff on a cold pan. You want to do it on a nice hot one. Okay, let me test my ranch here. Perfect. I just sprung a little right there, so my fresh ranch here is going to be delicious. Let's get our next set of our burgers. I'm going to transfer them out. Put them right on top. And then move this right over here. And slide right under. And this is why I do it on a parchment paper. It's just a little bit easier to slide them off on the parchment paper.
You have a question? Can you go over what's in the ranch?
The ranch is mayonnaise, cream, a little bit of vinegar, about a capful of vinegar, and fresh herbs. So I had basil, oregano, thyme, and parsley that I minced up. And I minced up a red onion, about a tablespoon of it in there, and a little bit of garlic, salt, and pepper. And you just mix it up in there, and it gives you this lovely, zesty ranch. You can also add a squeeze of a lemon juice to it, and that will give you a really fresh tasting. I might actually I have a little bit of a lemon in my fridge that I might add in there. But I'm gonna go flip these out. I'm gonna go grab our French fries, and I'll grab that lemon, and we'll be ready to plate up our dinner. You're gonna want this. So look at our oven crispy fries. They are delicious. They've got a nice little crunch on them. And then I have a half of a lemon in my fridge. And I'm just decided I'm going to add it to my ranch dressing to give it a bit more of a zing too. It'll go really well with the pickle chips. So we're going to mix this up. There we go. So look at that. You just see all those fresh herbs in there. Green onions would also go great in there, as well as, chives for like that more zesty, chivey ranch. Okay, let's get these pickle chips out. And then we're going to plate up our dinner. I'll show you how we're going to serve it tonight. But you see these pickle chips, these are so good, but they really don't require that much work. And they're going to just take the smash burgers, I think, just up a notch. Okay. Before we do that, let me flip these burgers, because I can see that they're ready. Okay. Let me grab a plate, and we will be ready to serve up. I'm going to grab my buns. So I'm using brioche buns, which I absolutely love. They're my favorite type of bun because they're soft and pillowy soft. They don't dry out really fast. And I feel like they give you that little bit more of that restaurant quality versus without. Let's reach in here, grab ourselves. So we've got our nice brioche bun. Now we're going to build our double-decker smash burger. So we've got our first patty on here. We're going to do our second patty for a nice thing. And those, remember, we season them with Dale seasonings and a little bit of liquid smoke to give you that nice little char to it. And we're going to put our crispy pickles on it. So we've got our smash burger right here. Then, of course, we'll add a couple crispy pickles to the side as an extra little treat. And let's not forget our crispy oven fries and my homemade ranch dressing. Slide this right over here. This is perfect for dipping both the pickles in and the fries. And you can also drip it on your burger if you want. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us here today. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I try to do live cooking shows every single day, show you what we're making for our family, and hopefully teach you guys along the way. Again, we do upload all of our videos to the link on our page, so if you ever want to recreate any of these recipes at home, you can just go to that link on our page, search for our video, the title of what we're cooking, and watch along with us again at home. We also have our Amazon storefront, so if you saw any cooking gadgets you were interested in, like our spatulas or our hex-clad pans, we do put everything on there that you can check out. That link is on our profile page as well. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us here today. Don't forget to like and